Demi negara yang tercinta, dicurahkan bakti penuh setia.
Woo! Yay! Thank you so much for that amazing first line. I'm sure my father, when he's watching, he's already like melting his heart out.
And I don't think I can call him uncle. I probably brother.
Hey, how's it going, guys? You're tuned into ContyChat. Thank you so much for being with us today. My name is Diyana Hashim. I'm your host for today, and it's so exciting. I'm going to dive in very shortly with what is going on and who I'll be speaking to. But first and foremost, make sure you follow us on our social media platforms, on Facebook, even YouTube at ContyNews. Also for Instagram and TikTok, you can find us at ContyChat. And remember, we're also on Spotify, so if you want to listen to any of our previous episodes, please feel free to do so, okay? But I am supremely excited because today we're focusing a lot on patriotism. We have been experiencing more or less like the month or the period of patriotism in Malaysia itself, because we had Merdeka, we also have Malaysia Day. But yeah, without further ado, we are going to focus on instilling patriotism through music, because when it comes to music, it does move the soul in so many ways, and patriotic songs have been known to boost morale in times of crisis and rekindle pride in people who are, you know, who we are and what we more or less represent. So I do have to introduce my guest over here for today, though. I have Dato Francissca Peter.
And you can call me Fran.
Okay.
Just to be a bit chill.
Okay, yes, we all know her as the singer celebrity. Yes, she's super wonderful. And we've also got the gorgeous Helen Yap, who is a really amazing and talented composer. So I'm like with a couple of, you know, power names in Malaysia when it comes to the music industry, I feel, anyway, because for me, I'm just like, growing up as a kid, my dad was the one who says, listen to this song. I mean, I can't hold a tune to save my life, obviously. But thank you so much for joining us. And we are going to focus a lot on music through and patriotism and putting all that together. So I suppose in, you know, patriotic songs should be something that is more tuneful, a lot more memorable and easily singable, even by non-singers. Like myself, I'm a toilet singer more like it, or karaoke singer lah, basically. But the lyrics should also capture basic sentiments and not bunch up on the tongue as well. But I guess I have to ask, to start off with, for you, both of you, how does music play a role in patriotism?
I think in being, you know, in this climate as we all are, young, matured generation, I think each to their own, you know, everyone has their own views on patriotism, you know, being nationalistic. It can go north, it can go south. But having said that, I think for me, I think, you know, like when I think of patriotism, Merdeka Day or Malaysia Day, things like that, it's more about the unity, I think, the respect, the understanding, you know, no hate, no racism, or, you know, any kind of bigotry. I think we have to focus a lot on all these things, because there's a lot of this going around, not just here, but around the world. And more so during COVID, I think, you know, you see a lot of people going through all sorts, and you see sometimes like almost the true colors are coming out, and you say probably was always there, but they never really brought it out. And sometimes these things were probably caused by it's personal experience, you know, what happened to you or to the person, you know, that they can actually take it out, or they become rigid and they become angry, and that's when they tend to hate, dislike. So I think when we say, you know, Merdeka is about also our forefathers, their struggles, and how and what they stood up for, and we want to not forget that what they did, you know, during those days, and we shouldn't change that. There's not enough you know, for me, all these things matter. Mingling of all races, I don't think there's enough of that. There really isn't enough of that. People can say that, oh, you can eat at this particular restaurant. restaurants and food is not going to help.
Yeah, we gotta find a
We
deeper.
need a deeper
Yeah.
ground of understanding, a love for one another, and the respect. I think that's very important.
Very, very true. Helen, thoughts?
To me, patriotic songs very unifying. They unify the public, the citizens of the country, and especially in Malaysia, we have so many country that's full of differences and diversities. So there's definitely a reason for everyone to come together, to form a united front, so that instead of us fighting each other, we have to come together to, face all the challenges that people in their everyday lives are going through. Especially as Dato Fran said, with COVID around, it hasn't been very easy. So a lot of problems we had, in fact, we have has got to do with hunger, unemployment, depression, anxiety, racism, among others. So I think when our country is so stressed out, or actually the world is so stressed out, I think the best way for them to deal with is through music. It really heals the soul. When you listen to music, it feels like, there's an encouragement, there is hope. So patriotic songs actually give you hope to something that's better.
Yeah, it is quite true, especially like what you mentioned, Helen, that when it comes to a lot of the times, what we turn to is music whenever we are feeling a certain
down,
kind of
yes.
emotion, and it evokes something out of us.
Yes.
It wakes it up,
Yes.
and with music being connected with patriotism, you have to find that right balance, because as Fran had mentioned as well, it could work either way for so many people. But in your opinion, what are some of the most recognizable patriotic songs to you?
Of course, Satya. Well, I mean, to me, I
And she
feel
loves me. Thank you.
No,
so sweet. I
no,
mean,
because
yeah.
it's when I've backed friend with that song for like many years, and I still find that it's so nice, and it's like you feel a sense of pride when you play it. There are a few other songs that I also like, which is Tanah Pusaka by Tan Sri Ahmad Marikan. He wrote that song, and then Putra Putri by Jimmy Boyle.
Yes.
And most very lively one is Tanggal 31
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
by
yeah.
Sudirman. I remember backing him on Merdeka, on the eve of Merdeka, somewhere in Desarun, Johor. Way back when, in the 80s, late 80s. And people were just singing along, so that song was very effective.
Yep,
So
yep.
it's that song is so Merdeka. But the one that Fran sings is more emotional.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it evokes a lot of emotion. Sejahtera Malaysia is also one of them. So
Yeah. It also greatly
it
helps your voice. Fran is like butter, essentially. Because it's like spreading on like
Wow.
It was that song was made for her,
Oh.
and the lyrics are spot on, because the lyrics are touching, spot on.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah.
Love
Simple,
for your country.
and everything is in all the lyrics. That means everything.
Yes.
For this country particularly, the peoples,
Yep.
it's all in there.
Yeah.
It's all in there. And of course, for me, it's like most patriotic songs will say, of course, Negaraku. Of course, then there's Satya, which is mine, and then there was others as well. There were others like To Know Malaysia is to Love Malaysia, which
Yes,
I
correct.
did the English version, and the late Datuk Sudirman, he did the Bahasa version. And then there was Fascinating Malaysia. That was also about visiting Malaysia. That was one of the others that I did. And lastly was the SEA Games thing, Reach for the Sky. So these are like some of the patriotic songs that I have recorded. So for me, all these really, really, like, Helen said, bringing people together. I mean, it's not just the songs, yes, they can and they should, but the people must also treasure the words, what it really truly means, and to really want this nation to be more focused together, to come together. I think we really, really need that.
Absolutely.
we
Couldn't
do.
agree more. But I feel like, well, talking about music and even understanding each other's work, I feel like you guys have had like a relationship, a work relationship that has lasted for a while now. Yes.
Yeah.
So could you tell us like a little bit more of how you guys met and how long ago have you guys worked together?
Helen.
We've known each other. I can't remember. It's like goes
I
back
think it
to
was like
30 over years.
In the 80s, probably
Yes.
like the mid 80s, I think,
mid to late 80s.
80s, yeah.
But I remember because I studied abroad. I studied at Berklee College of Music. So when I came back home for a holiday, my sister had the TV on, and then I saw Fran. She was singing. So I asked my sister, who is this person? She said Francissca, so I was like, oh, okay. I never knew that one day I would work with her. So when I
Yeah.
moved to KL, and
I think the first gig was a very small gig. Was it a very small gig or something, or was it a big one?
We played
I
all
can't
sorts
remember.
of shows,
All
small
kinds,
gigs, big
yeah.
gigs,
Small, big, all sorts.
New Year's Eve gigs, all sorts, and her RTM concerts, which I did, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So ad hoc stuff.
And
lah,
the big concert RTM did was 2020, right?
Yes.
Just as they kind of like opened after lockdown. That was like, wow, and I was so happy to see her.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, like it would have been a really lovely get together, a really fantastic
Yes.
reunion, especially with so much history between the two of you. Now, you guys have mentioned that you having known each other for this long, I would say, I mean, in my personal opinion anyway, I mean, opinions for everyone can be very, very different, but it's like the heyday of, patriotic music. I feel like because there were so many really, really amazing songs that were written that you guys have already mentioned, but somehow patriotic songs have lost familiarity among the younger generations. Like, do they still hold value? What are your thoughts on that?
I think I like to say that I'm quite blessed and thankful that Satya has really come a long way. Like I said, the whole thing, the song is a sweet song. It has its tenderness. The arrangement was also very sweet, and also the lyrics are very meaningful, simple but meaningful. Everyone can understand it. And I think a lot of young people sing that song.
They know that song.
They know that song, and it's been re-recorded and re-recorded again and
Re-recorded.
again.
Many
and again.
covers were done. That
So
was
many.
reintroduced.
And even if they are not like being played like from official sites or whatever, it's just being sung by any Tom, Dick and Harry on YouTube. It's everywhere.
Yep.
you
Yes,
know?
correct. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of cool to think that they actually love that song. They like it, So I'm kind of glad that I was chosen to do that song.
Well, yeah, Satya does have its great following. I mean, you have a great following on your social media account. I went live because I was doing a bit of checking, and then people are like, "Oh, that's a friend!" But yeah, I mean, so how would you describe the evolution of patriotic songs in terms of like lyrics, composition, and impact over time? Because there is the difference of Satya, for example, because that song holds a lot of meaning. It evokes that. It's like that I could tear kind of emotion, like that is how the feeling of that song comes out. But then nowadays it's a little bit more upbeat. They want to try to be more contemporary and all of that. So what are your thoughts on the evolution of patriotic songs, Helen?
Well, I think in terms of composition, even in the past, when the composers were writing the songs, they actually wrote the songs following the trend of that moment, the same genre. Whatever that was trending at that time, whatever beat that was trending, they would follow. Just as today, I mean, I take my hat off to RTM because most of the time, they would hold pertandingan mencipta lagu
Oh yes,
patriotic.
yes.
Every year they would have that. So the collection of the patriotic songs keep on growing, you know. So, and I think the latest one this year has a very modern feel to it. It's not like your typical marching, you know, way back when
Yes,
they were doing
yes.
marching one and you go like you know. But there's nothing wrong with the marching one. In fact, the tanggal,
Some of them can sound pretty good too. Yeah,
yeah.
some can sound very good too.
Tanggal 31 pun was a marching one.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
so
Yes.
it was okay for that. Nothing wrong with the marching, but it's just that nowadays kids, they go like marching is more military.
Yeah.
You know. So seriously, there's nothing wrong with the marching one, but this time around they had like a pop rock style. So they went in accordance to what's current right now. And in terms of if we went technical, we would say that the structure of the song also has changed. Way back when they would have form like a verse, a second verse, and then they go to the bridge, and then they end with the verse, and it'll just die down. Nowadays, you would have a verse, a pre-chorus,
Yeah.
a chorus,
Yes.
and then you go back again to the verse, pre-chorus, chorus, and then you hit the bridge, and you end with the chorus on a high note.
Yeah.
See, that would be the format now.
Yeah.
You see the format or the structure of the song. So and with a rather trending beat.
Yeah.
What's up? And lyrics, in terms of lyrics, the same message will still be there.
Yeah.
The love for your country, encouragement, emotion. The most important is emotion. So when people hear the songs, they feel like, oh, I'm moved. You know, I'm so moved. And it has got to have a hook. To
That's
me,
right. The
important so that everybody can sing together.
Yeah.
And not too difficult.
Yes.
Correct? Not too difficult so they can sing along. If it's too difficult, then only, you know, a really good singer only can carry it. What's the point?
That's very true. That's very true. I mean, it's simple. Like, you know, when you talk about evolution of songs, it's sometimes I prefer singing Satya with just a piano,
Yeah.
because then it has a different emotion.
Yes.
A really different emotion, or just with an acoustic guitarist, you know, and it brings out another kind of feeling. And that probably, I feel, would make me more emotional
Yep.
and tear people up, you know. And just as how when we talk about like you know, even American anthems and things
Yeah,
like that, like the
correct,
Star
yeah.
Spangled
Yeah,
Banner,
yeah,
you know, they were doing it for so many years,
Yeah,
the way
yeah.
they were doing it.
Yeah.
Then the person that actually broke that ice was Whitney Houston, the late one, Whitney Houston. And when she sang it at the Super Bowl,
Yep.
it was totally different from
Yeah.
the norm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then after that, everyone started doing their lengot, this and that, and, you know, all their little licks here and there. And I say, okay, sometimes it can be a little bit much,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
hey, wait a minute, it's still
yeah.
an anthem, you know.
Yeah.
So you don't want to lose that. But when she sang it, because it's always also about the clarity of the words.
Yep.
You want to be very, very clear. Clarity is so important
Yeah.
because you're getting a message across.
Yeah.
So I think that's still very important.
Do you think it's lacking in the newer patriotic
I think
songs?
sometimes people get carried away with, okay, when they hear a beat, okay, young people, yes, they like a drive. They like this drive,
Yep.
you know, the excitement. And they say, oh, well, let's have it this way. Maybe a rap a little bit, or
Yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah.
or more rockish or something, or hip hop.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. But you got to make sure that the clarity of the words are heard and understood, because that's very important. That's the message. That's your message out. So I think there is a combination. You got to have it all. That will never change.
Yep.
From back then till today.
Yep.
That combination, that package of a good song, melody, very good lyrics, and a great singer with great clarity.
Fantastic. Yeah, those are very, very excellent points. Thank you so much for sharing the technical side, and also like when, you know, when it comes to really, really getting into writing music, the process of it, and also looking at the singer's aspect, because you can't have one or the other being, you know, bigger or better, because at the end of the day, it has to be the full package.
Yep.
But we're going to take a really, really short break at the moment. And once again, you are tuned into ContyChat. And I am currently with Dato Francissca Peter and also Helen Yap. So we're chatting about, you know, music and patriotism. So make sure you stick around, and don't forget to follow us on our social media accounts on Facebook as well as YouTube on ContyNews, and also on our Instagram and TikTok. You look out for ContyChat, and you could also listen to us on Spotify. Be right back.
Demi negara yang tercinta, dicurahkan bakti penuh setia. Demi raja yang disanjung tinggi, kesetiaan tak berbelah bagi. Kepada rakyat, hikmat diberi penuh taat, sama bekerja, sama berusaha, setia berhikmat untuk semua, rela berkorban apa saja. Amanah bangsa tetap dijaga. Kami berikhlas penuh setia untuk agama, bangsa, dan negara. Demi negara yang tercinta, dicurahkan bakti penuh setia. Demi raja yang disanjung tinggi, kesetiaan tak berbelah bagi. Kepada pemimpin, kepada rakyat, hikmat diberi penuh
Welcome back to ContyChat. I'm Diyana Hashim, your host for today, again with the gorgeous Dato Francissca Peter and the very, very talented and lovely Helen Yap. Now, we have been talking about patriotism in music, or music in patriotism, more like it. And remember, guys, if you want to follow us on our social media accounts, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, on ContyNews, and you could follow us on Instagram and TikTok and ContyChat, okay? And follow us on Spotify as well. You could catch any of our previous episodes. But let's focus on the now specifically. When it comes to music and patriotism, earlier in the episode, we were talking a lot about how, you know, the roles of music in patriotism, and even when it comes to the aspect of the view of what younger generation might see or feel about patriotic music. But now we're going to try to jump into the processes and strategies for creating patriotic songs. You had mentioned earlier that Helen, that it's like a pretty deep process, but I guess I want to dive into much deeper when it comes to the actual team that is involved. Could you elaborate for us what is exactly the process and strategies for creating patriotic songs?
Well, the first thing you need to know is that the song has to be uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. Mm-hmm. So, which means you've got to find chords that have that kind of vibe. Mm-hmm. And you put it together, and then we need to research what's the latest music trends. Mm-hmm. And also, we can't make it too out there, mm-hmm. because we have to cater to everybody, you know, everybody in it. That's rather difficult because we have to cross over to the younger ones, mm-hmm. the older ones, basically the entire country. Mm-hmm. So when people listen to the song, just like Setia, mm-hmm. everybody likes the song Setia. I've not heard of anyone not liking Setia. So that was very well constructed. Mm-hmm. Even until today, it's an iconic song. So when you write a patriotic song, you have to think of how it's going to evoke emotion, mm-hmm. uplifting, mm-hmm. especially the lyrics. Mm-hmm. You can come up with a melody, you can go la 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 la, but it is meaningless, mm-hmm. until the lyrics come in. Mm-hmm. The lyrics are the ones, is the thing that will lift up the song.
So which one comes first? The lyrics or the tune of the song, or the
It depends.
The chords? Mm-hmm.
It depends. Sometimes the lyricist
Mm-hmm.
will sort of like have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I've got the title of
Yep.
this song. Maybe you can work on the chorus first.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we work on the chorus first because the chorus is the one that everybody's going to sing along. So you have to make sure that it's easy to sing, it's catchy, it sticks in your head. Even the small kids also can sing. That's hard to do, you know, because when you know so much about music, it's hard to be simple.
Yep.
So that's one of the processes of writing a song.
It is actually generally considered a very, very difficult task to do, to write a patriotic song, because as you mentioned, not only does it have a very specific mission as to why it exists in the first place, this particular track, but at the same time, because you're trying to cater to the mass market, you kind of gotta have a hit, and you gotta make it like meet the mission in the first place.
Yes, it's gotta be in the middle of the road. You can't have like I'm gonna write a heavy metal song.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't think all the makcik in the kampung, you know, like banging.
The thing is,
Banging, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So you gotta make it pop, mainstream, so that people like it. You know. Correct.
Yeah. We've heard, or like I've heard over the years, you know, the remakes and the newer generation trying to make things a little bit more different and turning some patriotic songs into full on like and the thing is, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I can totally imagine if my granddad were listening and he'd be like, what is this music? Like, I know this song, but it's not the same lah. Like, you know, that sort of feeling. But okay, so then after the process of writing the lyrics and also getting the chords together, how do you find the singer? Like, for example, for Fran in Setia, was it like that one? Like, Fran's the one, or how does it go?
Yeah, I think they picked her because they already knew. So So when you're writing a patriotic song, you just don't simply write. Oh, if you've been commissioned to write and they tell you you're writing for friend, so you start thinking, okay, friend's voice is like this. I should go like this. I won't write a heavy metal song for her.
Yep.
No, I won't write this type of song for her. Maybe something that will suit her. And if I was writing for Jamal Abdillah, I would write in a different way. Okay, Jamal's style is like this, so I'll write it like this way.
Yep.
You see, so you have to custom. Basically, you custom for the singer. But sometimes it just so happened that you are going to write a patriotic song. You feel like today I feel patriotic. I'm going to write patriotic song. So after you write the song, that's when after you do that, then you start looking for a singer that can suit the song.
So-
It depends.
The process, so it doesn't necessarily mean that, well, Fran, obviously, because your voice
Yeah.
is absolutely fantastic, it was just
thank
simple
you.
enough to just be like, okay, this is clearly something that was made for her.
Yes, correct.
But then with the number of artists that are emerging right now, it's just a matter of who do they end up choosing that might
Yes, correct.
bring the song quite well.
Yes, correct.
So I do want to ask, in Fran's perspective as an artist, when composers and producers even like would approach you, how does that process happen, and like what happens after that? Is there anything that they tell you to do, or do you have to
I
bring
think
it?
it's like I mean, we've kind of come a long way. In the past, you would be kind of coached to say, I want you to sing like this, I want you to sing like that. It was very hard for us sometimes to like say, well, I don't want to sing like that. I want to sing like this.
Yeah.
Because you're talking to producers and things, and then they say, no, I want you to do this one. Don't put that there. Leave it for the last bit. Okay, structuring and making sure that you sing and you know where to lift and do things. That is all fine.
Correct.
But sometimes when you come like today, a lot of them pretty much do their own thing and sing their own way and do whatever they want, unless really they are afraid of the producer, and then they just like follow to a T, oh, so don't do that, I won't do that, I do this, I do that, there are still people like that, but for perhaps for some of us who've had a lot of experience, most of the producers would know pretty much that you just give her the song and she'll just know where to take it.
Correct.
So I feel kind of glad that we have sort of come of age, and we are pretty good at doing that. Yeah. So they don't have to like Manan and even Helen and everyone. Like when I was in the studio, most of the producers say, "Ayo, don't need to tell her how to do it. She just knows where to go
Correct,
with
yeah.
her emotions." Yeah.
Yes,
Like for
correct.
Satya, that's why one of the reason they chose me. We were in the studio. It's just me, the songwriter, and then that time it was Dato Rahmat. He was the late Minister of Information. He was in the studio, and then also the lyricist and all, and the sound engineers. Only like 4 of us in the studio, and they just knew that when they chose me, I think Dato Ahmad Dasila, he knew that I just give Fran the song and she will know where to take the emotions. She will know what to do with it, because it's also about understanding the lyrics as well, the meaning of it. And then you know where that emotion is supposed to hit. Like when you say, Demi Negara, it's like you're telling, Demi Negara, you're telling a story, Kepada pemimpin, and then you're reaching out, you're telling. So you have to also understand the lyrics as well.
Goosebumps.
It's every, oh my god. I can't believe I actually had that too. It's crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, in Malay it's called penghayatan.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so it's like when we have all that, that's why it's everything matters. Of course the music was beautiful. It was very tender,
Yeah.
gentle. When I heard it, I just sort of, so sweet, like you feel like, so in love, And then the lyrics came in. I was reading it, and I was it's so wonderful by that Hafsa Hassan also. She wrote the lyrics, and beautifully written.
Beautifully written.
It really is. The language itself is so simple, classically written, and easy for everyone to sing along and understood as well.
Do you feel like you would have done anything differently for the song when you recorded it all those years ago?
I think for that time, no, it was kind of like perfect, that sweetness, the whole thing. And then to see that, my God, I think it was even it was equally as big as Sekadar di Pinggiran, but it was bigger because everyone was singing. They were singing in schools.
Yeah.
Besides Negaraku,
Yeah.
they also sang Setia.
Yeah.
And everyone knew it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, I just can't imagine how that it just went that way. And I think they were also shocked themselves, thinking that this song just hit.
Yeah.
It just hit really crazy.
Yeah, it
You
was,
know?
it was, and still is a wonderful
Yeah.
track. I remember the good old days back when like we would, like I used to live at my grandpa's house, and then my grandparents' house, and then we would sit down in front of the TV, and then like TV1 from time to time will pop up lah.
Yeah,
you know,
pop up. That's how
but
the
every
promo-
time it's like it reaches the na 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 na, like none of us can obviously reach the notes, but then we're like ah, la, 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 and we're just like menghayati that moment,
Yes.
and
Yes.
somehow or other there's always that part of song. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You can sing in like the most casual way. You're just like, doing the like, on a computer or whatever. But if you reach a couple of parts of the song, suddenly you're like, macam tersedak like that, I don't know why. You're like, ooh, like not sebab, sorry. Like you feel like, oh my goodness, like suddenly like you feel like you want to cry because like there's a passion. I think it's really, really wonderful that, you brought that out of Setia itself. And it's wonderful, like people like Helen, to be able to explain the processes, and what's more, working together, composer and artist, when you have that sense of connection, it makes a huge difference. But for now, the next question I do have to ask you guys though, because otherwise we can go really, really far into this. Like on a more general front, how do you define patriotism? And personally, how would you differentiate patriotism and nationalism?
Okay, patriotism is actually like a love for your country. When our badminton players win something, we all feel patriotic. And then if somebody says that that particular dish is from their country, okay,
There we go.
suddenly we feel
Food again.
patriotic. So it's actually it has a positive
Yeah.
connotation, and great sentiments, attitudes, and we tend to portray the love for our country. But nationalism has more negative connotation. It's more like has political overtones.
It can go really bad.
Yes,
or
it
it
can
can
go
go really good.
Yes,
That's
correct.
the danger.
Yes, correct. I agree. Especially when you feel very nationalistic, as in like, someone comes to our country and doesn't behave the way he or she does, and we will go like, if you can't follow the way we do things in our country, best you leave. So we feel a bit nationalistic by
Yes.
that. It's not patriotism;
Yep.
it's nationalistic.
Yeah,
because it's about our
absolutely,
country.
I
You
agree.
you can't do things this way in our country. So that's being nationalistic. So it's a bit more on a
More like taken to extreme.
Yes,
you know.
extreme,
That's
extreme.
more like that way.
Yes,
I
extreme.
think.
No, friend, go. I mean,
Because it's happening around the world. If you look at it, not just here, but
Yes,
around the
correct.
world as well. That nationalistic thing comes
Yeah.
out, and you wonder, what's that about?
Yeah.
Really, what about? Maybe it's something that we've not really talked about much. And when you don't talk about certain things much, the young people today really do things differently. They want things differently. And for them, being nationalistic could be something else.
yeah,
You don't quite know, good or bad.
sure.
That's the extreme of it all. But other than that, when you talk about patriotism, as I would agree also with Helen, pretty much, quite a lot of stuff we kind of agree on. It's really for the love of your country. And like, winners.
Yeah, we know say,
represent the
Malaysia
country,
won this one.
you
You
know.
feel like, yeah, that's great.
It's great.
Yeah,
It's
great.
Yeah, and I think we have to sort of like remind each other as well as ourselves that we need to define that patriotism and nationalism can be very, very different.
Yes.
And patriotism, to me, it feels like it's like we're in this together.
Yes.
It's an us thing. I am
Yes.
proud of you as you are proud of
Yes.
me. We are proud of the
Exactly.
land.
Yes.
But nationalism, it becomes an us versus them mindset.
Yes.
And it's automatically it just divides people in such a way, because you no longer remember what the stem of where they feel this nationalism from, because normally if it's patriotism, it's like a we let's do this,
Yes,
you know, like.
yes,
But then
exactly,
for nationalism, it could be something that stems from something negative that they think
Correct.
that it might be a positive thing. They're like, this is burning the passion and the fire within me, but then out of nowhere, it's like it just goes a little bit out of hand, lah, unfortunately. But are Malaysians patriotic enough, do you reckon?
I think so, you know, in some ways. When things are going, they feel more patriotic, you know. I think they are. You know, you can tell, you know, in some ways, like the food thing, you know.
Yeah.
The food thing, and then
Malaysia is such a food thing, isn't it?
I know.
I so hilarious. That's so
It's
crazy, man.
such
It's a
a
food thing.
I mean, I can honestly say we've got the best durian in the world.
Okay, she's durian person, I bet.
No, it's true. I mean, we've got the best durian, and we're very proud of it, you know. And I mean, in recent days, weeks, I mean, we've had a few wins here and there from all over the world, you know, people winning for Malaysia. You feel very proud, you know, because come to think of it, Malaysia is a very small country, but full of talent.
Yep.
You know, we've got great singers from here. I mean, I think we are feeling very patriotic because when I was backing of Shilamza in Shanghai, when we went to Shanghai, some of them, they looked at all the Malaysian musicians as like, whoa, oh, musicians from Malaysia, wow.
Yeah.
Because it's, you feel that sense of pride. Why do they look at us with such awe? Because in Malaysia, we come from a, you know, a background that's full of different people.
Yeah.
And we are exposed to all sorts of music. So our versatility is big.
Yeah.
So when we go there and we can play all sorts of music, and they're like, oh wow. Whereas in China, perhaps they only just play one kind of
Certain
music.
types, yeah.
Yeah, we play traditional music, Malaysian joget, zapin, dangdut, you know,
Yeah.
and we play pop
All
and
kinds,
rock,
yeah.
all sorts of music we play, you know.
Even traditional, like whether it's Chinese or Tamil, Indian, or even
Correct, yes.
you know, typical you know, Asli music, Malay music, all sorts, you know.
So we feel proud, you
Yeah.
know, when
Yep.
they tell us, you know, Malaysian musicians are very good. And some of our musicians actually go to China and Taiwan and Hong Kong to back their artists. They come
Yeah.
over to ask us to back them. You know, what
Yeah.
does it say? And we come from a small country, and yet we have so much talent here.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
but based on the explanation that you just gave, Malaysians not only have you know, a fairly strong sense of patriotism, but they have certainly a strong sense of passion of you know, the things that they, because we have resources of all sorts of things, like what you mentioned, it's so diverse. But what are your thoughts on that, friend? Like in
think
terms
we
of like
really-
patriotism, yeah.
You know, I think my heart always goes towards the fact that yes, we have grown, all of us have grown this far, come this far, but we are also forgetting about the young people as well today, because I think we need to do it a little bit more. We don't just select people when you ask them things, you know, young people. I think they have to reach out to the masses, young people, and ask them what is it that they really are feeling. Don't select who you want to come on a talk show to talk. You should be randomly selecting young people out there, because when you actually speak to them, I've done so many a times, you know, college kids, even children in schools, secondary, primary, local, and their views are really, really, really different from the same old. And there is a cry there, you know, a sense that I don't think that enough is being done to really hear them. I think that needs to be done, because like you say, nationalism, one way. Being patriotic is one way. They're patriotic, yes, but there's something that they are crying out for. We are not hearing them still.
That's a very, very interesting
hearing
point.
them.
That's a very interesting
And I
point.
have got children who are like one extreme, very little, and one is an older, you know, young adult soon. So I think it is very important. Their views, what they're thinking and feeling is so different, you know.
Yep. It is true. We live in a generation where empathy is and listening is a very, very important aspect or even thing to practice. But my goodness, thank you so much for that. But unfortunately we have run out of time. How is that even possible? This is a 45-minute special. Hello. I mean, it's absolutely insane. But yes, it's so sad, guys. I'm really, really sad. I'm with Helen Yap. I'm with Dato Francissca Peter. We have been talking about patriotism, music, and the way things have been, and maybe perhaps even something for us to ponder how we should think about patriotism, and when it comes to whether it is actual patriotism or music or anything of the sort, how we communicate with the youngsters and how it would help our country as a whole. But we have to wrap things up. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us today.
You're
Madly
welcome.
appreciate
Such a
it.
lovely time.
I know.
time.
Definitely. Please.
Two.
Yes, that's right. Producers, let's do this. All right, so I'm sure we're definitely gonna post up your social media accounts for you to be followed. But otherwise, you can hit us up on our Facebook and also YouTube on ContyNews. You could also hit us up and on TikTok and also on Instagram on ContyChat. We're also on Spotify. Remember to listen again to all of our previous episodes. But it has been an absolutely wonderful time with the both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And may you constantly sing the Satya song. Dad, I'm gonna try and get you maybe a photo or something like that from a friend. But yes, thank you so much, and have a great day ahead.